Welcome in to this Vegas Nation Mailbag. I'm Elaine Emerson alongside Gilbert Manzano, and we're here after what feels like the longest bye week ever to talk about all things Raiders before their Colts matchup. But some big news happening this weekend. We talked about it last week. Amari Cooper is no longer a Raider. He was traded to the Cowboys, and the Raiders got a first-round pick out of it.
Whoa, they did it.
I know, they did it.
Somehow.
And here I am sitting, oh my gosh, there's no way that Amari Cooper is worth a first-rounder.
So which team got suckered into giving a first-round pick?
Of course it's the Cowboys.
Uh-huh.
Of course it's the
Jerry.
Cowboys. But what do the Cowboys, in your mind, see out of getting Amari Cooper and being willing to give up that first-round pick for him?
Yeah, I guess the Raiders are 1-5 this season, but they have a win again in this trade. I think they won this trade, safe to say. Yes. So win number 2 for John Gruden, getting this pick first-rounder. But I guess for Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, they feel like Dak Prescott needs a number 1 wideout because no Des Bryant there. Dak Prescott's thrown to a bunch of guys you've never heard of outside of Cole Beasley. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it kind of feels like they're going all in on this year for the Cowboys. They're 3-4, but in the NFC East, they're only, 1 game behind technically from the Redskins. So I don't know, they want to be a wild card team, go for it, or you want to see what Prescott could bring to the table when you have a number 1 wideout. But for the Cowboys, a lot of head scratching there, but for the Raiders, when you're kind of, in the tank, I guess should we say, you're 1-5, you need a lot of picks, and I don't think Amari Cooper is part of this future, and you got a first rounder, so win for the Raiders.
It is a sentimental win, probably, because that doesn't give you a win in the win column.
A win for the future.
Yes, it could help for the future, and the Cowboys before this, too, you couldn't name a lot of their wide receivers outside of Cole Beasley. And the only reason I could name Cole Beasley is because I had him on my fantasy team a few years ago. So that's the only reason you would know any Cowboys wide receivers at this point. So who knows how this helps them this season. Now, Raiders have 3 first-round picks now in 2019. Gilbert, it is a little sad that we're already talking about next year's draft.
I know.
And we're only halfway through the season, but
it's not Halloween yet.
It's not even Halloween, but we're just going to focus on next year for a little bit. So let's talk about those picks. So where do they come from, and what could they do with them?
Okay, so they have 3 first-round picks for 2019 and a total of 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. They have another one from the Bears next year, but they have a pick from their own, the Raiders, which is probably a really high pick at number 4 you see there in the graphic. And also number 9 currently with the Cowboys, and then number 15 with the Bears. So for the Raiders, they have 3 first-round picks inside the top 15 currently as this thing stands. So Raider fans, you have to root against the Cowboys and the Bears for the rest of the year, so these picks could be as high as possible. Mm-hmm. But for now, having 3 first-round picks in the top 15, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So this is CBS Sports' latest mock draft in what the Raiders could get out of this. So what do you see out of this? Obviously, it's so early, right? The Raiders could be.
Yeah, but people are kind of wondering
1, 2,
now.
3,
you have all these
4.
picks. They're going to take a look.
Exactly. I think it's safe to look at next year for the Raiders, unfortunately.
And there was no game last week, so forgive us. I know people want to talk games, but yeah, let's go with mock draft.
We'll just look at 2019. So what do you see out of some of these guys in the current CBS Sports mock draft? We have like Ed Oliver from Houston. Got to see him a little bit because he's played at the Vegas Bowl here recently.
Yeah, I got to interview Ed Oliver when he was a freshman.
Yes, and he was good then.
Yeah.
So looking good for the Raiders to potentially strengthen up that defense. And then we've got Drew Lock, a QB from Missouri, and A.J. Brown from a wide receiver from Ole Miss. So some pretty good prospects, do you think?
If you see kind of the pattern there with the positions that the CBS Sports mock draft has, they're kind of the positions that Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack and Derek Carr played. So essentially that core of 3 right there that was supposed to be the next best thing for the Raiders world, they're all going to be gone. I don't know about Derek Carr yet, but people are assuming, so they want the replacement. So Ed Oliver, I like that pick. It's not Nick Bosa, but if you're number 4 right now, but if the Raiders keep going the way they're going, they might get a higher pick, not number 4. Mm-hmm. But Ed Oliver is a solid pick there. And I don't know much about the Missouri quarterback. You want to have Justin Herbert from Oregon. If you're going to get away from Derek Carr, I know we want to still believe in Derek Carr, but if Justin Herbert is an opportunity for you to draft him, you take him. I don't know about this Missouri guy. I don't know. When I think of Missouri, I think about Blaine Gabbert from.
Right.
So you want to stay away from Missouri quarterbacks. And that has turned out
really great for everyone.
Yeah. And you're gonna need a wide receiver. So A.J. Brown from Ole Miss. He's a speedy guy. He's a guy that Al Davis would have liked. He's still with us. So, yeah, you're going to need to fill these positions that these players you let go. So, We'll see how they do, but it's up to John Gruden and his staff to make these picks a home run. You got to knock them out of the park if you want to come to Vegas and have a decent team.
Absolutely. And since we're talking about 2019, I'm just going to go to our first comment here, which is where will the Raiders play next season? That is still very much up in the air. It seems like there was this lawsuit going on with Oakland, but I mean, are they really going to go through with that? Are the Raiders really going to be out of Oakland by next year? Do we know one way or the other?
Yeah, it's a tough situation because we're about to hit November and we're not really sure where the Raiders are going to play next year. And yeah, you mentioned the lawsuit there. It's not official. It's kind of like we're threatening to sue you. Which,
it's through the grapevine.
Yeah. But we can all kind of pretend to sue somebody. So it's not legit yet. But maybe the Raiders kind of give more money to the Oakland people, and you stay there 1 more year. I think that's what they want to do. I think that's what they're going to end up doing, is stay in Oakland 1 more year, or somehow be in the Bay Area in a Cal Stadium or a Stanford.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're coming to Vegas just yet for 2019.
No. Yeah, I don't think anyone would want to play professional football at Sam Boyd. Let's
avoid that.
Let's be real. Sam Boyd is just not equipped for that. So let's go back to this year. Let's talk about what happened in London, because a lot of people were concerned.
Maybe they could play in London.
Yeah, maybe they could play in London. Who knows?
That was pretty terrible. Wasn't it?
It didn't work out for them, but who knows? It's not working out for them now. So Derek Carr was seen potentially crying, potentially being upset about what was happening in London. So tell us a little bit about this report and Carr's reaction to all of this hoopla on whether or not he shed a tear.
Yeah, so yesterday morning there was a report saying that Derek Carr has a fractured relationship with his teammates. And it's mainly based on his poor play this year, which he has struggled this year. But also his facial expressions in that London blowout against the Seahawks. I think they lost 27-3. There was a viral meme or a GIF where Derek Carr is trying to get up, where he injured his left shoulder, but it looked like he was, I guess you could say crying, but it was more like he was grimacing in pain. He took a big hit. He took a big hit. He got sacked 6 times.
Sacked 6 times in that game.
But according to his report, teammates in the in the building when they were watching film saw it as, crying or a sign of weakness. So this report, I'm not saying it's legit or anything. I don't know what it is, but he has sources, and they're saying that the way the teammates saw Derek Carr, they did not like it, but that forced Derek Carr to go, tweet about it, respond saying, hey, there was not one tear. I did not cry. I told my teammates, help me out. I wanted to play, and he did. He wanted to play. I think John Green wanted to pull him, and he said no, but. It's a football player. You take a big hit. You're a tough guy just to be out there, and you're the quarterback who got sacked 6 times. So I don't want to say Derek Carr was crying, but you can't knock him for his toughness. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, can you blame him if he was? Honestly, because it's like you're seeing your team just kind of fall apart at the seams, and you're getting hit a bunch of times, getting sacked onto the ground.
Yeah, and it's up to your O-line to protect you. Maybe your O-line should be like, man, look at our quarterback. Look how much in pain because of us. So if you or your team, you want to help out this guy he's never thrown anybody under the bus. He's never made anybody look bad or say you missed that play. He's always taking blame on himself. When he has a bad game, he goes talks to the media. He never runs away from cameras. So Derek Carr, he's a stand-up guy who always faces whatever is coming his way. Right. So for teammates, if it is true, if teams are kind of giving up on Derek Carr, I think it's the wrong approach.
Yeah, well, definitely comment below if you think there is a troubled relationship with this Derek Carr thing and the rest of his team. I mean, again, it's one of those things where it seemed like in the offseason when Khalil Mack was traded, right? That was a really big hit on the locker room.
Yeah.
A lot of guys revered him as a leader in the locker room. I know traditionally in a lot of locker rooms, your quarterback is the leader in the locker room, but maybe Derek Carr is not as much that guy. And if you see how John Gruden has been in the past few weeks after the Khalil trade and everything like that, maybe it's John Gruden who's kind of leading things. And we see that you can't super trust everything that John Gruden's saying about whether or not you're this invaluable player that they would never get rid of, or that you're super valuable to this team, because he's been shown time and time again that he's still willing to make the changes.
I still remember the quote from John Gruden in the offseason, Amari Cooper is going to be the vein of this offense. He never was, and he's already out the door. And when you mentioned Khalil Mack, when he got traded, you still had a whole season ahead of you. You can be like, hey, we never know. You never know what could happen. Maybe we can still win our games. But now when you're getting rid of guys, when you're 1-5, it just feels like it's hopeless. What's the point? And maybe people are turning on each other now. But I don't know if it's Derek Carr. I think it's more on John Gruden. People are saying, well, this guy is, maybe he's a liar. He wants to rebuild for the future. Why am I here? Why are we even trying to, help out Derek Carr? So I don't know if it's a Derek Carr thing. I think it's maybe just the bad situation that it is right now. When you already lose Amari Cooper, why should we follow Derek Carr when he's probably going to be out the door too?
Right. If you see that some of what, John Gruden has referred to as the top guys on your team, early in the season at least,
they're not safe, nobody's safe.
Exactly. If you're seeing that these top guys, and they're so willing to get rid of those top guys quickly, then, it must cause some worry and some panic for those guys in the locker room. So we're going to go to one of these tweets, same on the Derek Carr vein. Should Derek Carr be traded or cut before the 2019 season? Bill Carey says maybe they do trade Carr. That way they get more picks, and Gruden gets to handpick his QB to go into Vegas with. What do you think about that, Gilbert? Gruden being able to mold his offense, this QB guru, be able to get his own guy in.
Well, in that tweet there, I mentioned Ian Rappaport was saying that, nobody is safe on the Raiders unless your name is Derek Carr and Gary Conley. But do we believe what the Raiders are saying nowadays, or talking to the media, John Gruden, is I don't know if Derek Carr is safe. So, Bill Carey is saying here, maybe you should trade Derek Carr. And, yeah, that's probably your first option. If you are done with Derek Carr, John Gruden keeps saying he's not giving up on Derek Carr, but what do you say when you still have, 10 games left? That, you got to go with Derek Carr. So, but if they're shopping him, yeah, you got to trade him first. And, again, I feel like it's too soon to give up, And I want to say give him the rest of the year, but when you have no options, like, how do you look good?
Right.
How can you show yourself that, you're a guy? But, again, maybe like it's John Gruden. He wants to have his own team, his new blueprint. When you come to Vegas and when you want a new team, usually you want a new quarterback.
Right.
So I guess, you might have to move on and you draft one. But it's just crazy how we're talking about getting rid of Derek Carr. But when Amari Cooper and Khalil Mack have already been shown the door.
Yeah.
I think
nothing's off the table.
Derek Carr's like a lame duck right now. He's probably, when is my turn?
Yeah, and nothing's off the table. But even looking at the current state of the NFL, what teams are even really shopping around for a quarterback right now, right? That you could actually get good value out of, have someone either take on this big contract that you gave Derek Carr, or be able to get good value out of him. Is there anyone that would even be able to do that, hypothetically?
Maybe the Florida teams, Jaguars and the Dolphins. I know Larry Muir, a guy, he likes Ryan Tannehill, but I don't know if he's a guy. He's not a reliable guy, but maybe you have Derek Carr in Miami, or you have Derek Carr replacing Blake Bortles with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But then again, those are kind of two teams where, you're kind of in the middle. Is Derek Carr going to take you to that next level? So I don't know. I feel like no one's going to try to get that contract from the Raiders and hey, let us pay Derek Carr. I think they're going to wait to force the Raiders' hand to cut Derek Carr, and then you'll get Derek Carr on the cheap.
We have a couple comments here talking about this. I also think first of all, let's go. Gruden is making Carr run Alex Smith's old dink and dunk offense, and that's not his game. He's going to trade Carr, Carl Joseph, and Jordy Nelson in the next week. Nothing's off the table.
Yeah.
Nothing is off the table.
If you're Jordy Nelson, you were playing with Aaron Rodgers, and you're having a great career, and you come to this, whatever.
Talk about a culture change too.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe he wants to get out too. I know he got paid good money. You shouldn't complain. But yeah, you're used to winning. You probably want to get out too. Maybe he's asking for a trade. I don't know. A lot of things could happen behind the scenes.
Yeah, and Alex continues. I also think he loves A.J. McCarron, and he will be the starter for the rest of the year when Carr is traded. I agree. He loved McCarron when he ran his QB show on ESPN. That's a good point. But I don't see the value.
He loved
in
everybody
A.J.
in that
McCarron.
QB show, by the way.
That's true. Yeah, I was gonna say he just loves quarterbacks in general. And
he called Christian Hackenberg first round talent. Yeah, and we're not quite there, right? So, yeah, maybe he does see some value out of A.J. McCarron, but can you genuinely look at those two side by side and say they're equals? No.
Not
at all.
Not at all.
And I think going back to the whole dink and dunk thing, like this, again, I don't want to say, I am kind of surprised because the way this thing is headed, the way John Gruden stripped down this team and just, ripped it apart, I am surprised about that.
Right.
But John Gruden, the coach, and the way he is with the media and the way he talks, I'm not surprised because this is the same way John Gruden was in Tampa Bay, where he just, couldn't hit on picks, and it was 8-8 every year. So this John Gruden is kind of the same John Gruden from 10 years ago.
Let's actually get to that. You had an email from a reader. This is from Donald Barrington. Just read your Monday piece. Was shocked that you didn't get to John Gruden until your last sentence, which harsh, but fair. John Gruden's a big part of this. I expected that he would have been the leadoff name. If you are in contract with Mark Davis, let him know that I would be willing to coach 5 games for him at $625 a pop, or whatever he's paying that out-of-touch Gruden, and I will guarantee no worse a result. Wow, Donald. I'm so encouraged that you want to coach the Raiders, because I don't think a lot of people would want to right now. But, yeah, it is probably frustrating for these Raiders fans to be watching this guy that you're paying a ton of money, and you expect that money to translate into wins, right?
Yeah, but a little background here when he said just read your Monday piece. It was from my coaches on the hot seat story, like which coaches could be fired in the coming weeks. And I didn't mention John Gruden because when you're guaranteed $100 million for the next 10 years and you're in year 1, you're probably safe. So I'm not going to mention John Gruden. I know you guys want me to mention John Gruden. I know, is Gruden fired yet? Was it GrudenGone.com yet? What's the website?
Is GrudenGone? Yeah.
They want him to be fired, but it's not going to happen for at least 3 years. He's guaranteed. You're not going to blow that money in the first year.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So I'm not going to mention John Gruden in a fired piece.
And you know what? I think it might be fair to say in the fans' eyes that he's maybe in the hot seat. You want to see him translate what he's making into wins and the guys that he has. But it's a lot about bringing your own guys in, right?
Yep. And if Mark Davis is allowing him to do all these trades, then yeah, you're the guy.
Yeah, you got to let your guy bring in the guys, or at least give them a little more time with the guys that they currently have to be able to actually see 10 whole years maybe to actually see what that translates into. It's not fair, I think, to bring in a first year. Well, I shouldn't say that John Gruden's a first year coach, but in the first year of his contract and expect things to go perfectly, because that never happens, right?
Yeah,
that never happens.
And I guess for Donald, he wants to coach the Raiders better than that. I guess maybe because they're not doing well right now. So
we don't know his number, but Donald, if you want to give him a call or send him an email, I'm sure he'd be willing to listen to your offer.
It can't be too tough right now when you're in tank mode.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back to some of these trade rumors we've talked about. Last week, do you trade him? Do you keep him? Garyon Conley is one of those names that has come up quite a bit. Doug Royce says Conley is a healthy scratch. How is he not available? And I'm guessing he's meaning available for trade.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Garyon Conley was a first-round pick a year ago, so maybe they're like, we don't want to give up on this guy just yet. But again, he wasn't drafted by John Gruden. And again, we don't want to believe everything John Gruden is saying. So I think Garyon Conley is available. We've seen other reports saying that Garyon Conley is an option for other teams. So don't be surprised if Garyon Conley is the next guy on the way out. And that will mean, I think they've lost like every first round pick since 2013. So that's insane.
That's really rough. And it's one of those things too. It's a balancing act, right? How much are you willing to give up to put all your chips, of course, because it's Vegas and we have to talk about gambling, put all of your chips on the guys you have left or the guys that are coming in? You know, how far are you willing to go with these trades?
Yeah, and another guy that John Gruden kept talking up was Garyon Conley. So I don't know if John Gruden is high on him, but if he could get a second-round pick for him, he got a first round from Amari, and this guy was a first-round pick a year ago. Maybe he'll get a first-round pick, but I don't think so. Maybe at the most he'll get a second-rounder for Garyon Conley if he's lucky.
Could this Raiders team just look absolutely different in 2 weeks than it looks now? I mean, it's pretty different than what we saw in London.
Yeah. There's a lot of new faces, so yeah, I can see this happening.
All right, let's get to our rapid-fire questions. How will we remember the Marshawn Lynch Raiders era? He was just put on IR for a groin injury. How will we remember that?
Let's see. We could go with a couple beast quakes. The dancing on the sidelines against the Jets.
Yes.
Remember, it was all happy. They were 2-0,
and things were the Oakland song. Yeah.
And then there was that opener against the Rams where he took 8 guys on his back and then touchdown, and that's about it. That's all Marshawn we got. It was fun for a couple of years to have him in Oakland, but it seems like his days in Oakland are over. He's an IR, and he's not coming back for any time soon. Yeah.
Additional rapid fire. Will Marshawn Lynch be a Raider next year?
No.
No. Okay. Next question. Who will step up with Amari Cooper gone? Jordy Nelson? maybe?
Yeah, Jordan Nelson's the guy now. He's a go-to guy. I guess if you want anything to do with this offense in fantasy football, you get Jordan Nelson. I'm not touching anything.
Don't
on the
touch
Raiders.
Martavis.
Yeah,
That won't change.
Don't get sucker for Jalen Richard. Just don't. But anyways, it's not a fantasy show. Yeah, Jordan Nelson and Martavis Bryant, I guess, are the guys. They made Marcel Aitman a guy on the active roster, so maybe you see some of these rookies get opportunities. Seth Roberts is the guy, but if you weren't doing anything well with Amari Cooper, you're not going to do anything with these guys.
Your best offensive weapon is Jared Cook. You're kind of in trouble.
Yeah, Jared Cook's the guy. So, yeah, if he's the only guy you want from the Raiders on your fantasy team, is Jared Cook.
All right, and finally, who is the Raiders' new kicker? Briefly describe this new kicker that the Raiders got this week.
Kicker number 5, by the way.
Kicker number 5.
When you were so used to Sebastian Janikowski for 17 years, and then you get 5 kickers in 1 year, yeah, it's not a good look. But it's Daniel Carlson. He's a rookie from the Vikings who got cut in that Week 2 game where he missed three field goals. Well, he's now a Raider, so hopefully he makes kicks for you.
Exactly. All right, just going to some of our questions. Aaron Hernandez, welcome back, Aaron. You're here every week. We appreciate it. Nobody is
made
safe.
It. I was getting word.
Nobody is safe. Not even Greg Papa and Tom Flores were never. Should have let Tavecchio go.
When you're talking about a kicker that, man, we shouldn't have let that kicker go.
We should have let that one kicker go because he's going to give us all our
Things are
points.
very bad for you right now.
Things are rough. Yeah, kicker number 5,
kicker,
man.
Tavecchio, yeah.
Like I said before this
He was
show,
the only kicker last year, though.
they could work out Zane Gonzalez, our ASU
If
guy.
Carlson
but man,
misses a few kicks, maybe he gets a shot.
nothing is off the table at this point. All right. Week 8 predictions. We are back in football after this bye week. The Raiders are going to be football. Raiders are going to be hosting the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think?
Nobody's taking the Raiders, right?
No one's taking the Raiders.
You can ask anybody. We're all going with the Colts. You don't even have to analyze this. It's going to be Andrew Luck throwing all over this defense, and I don't know what Derek Carr's going to do. But for Derek Carr, you got to show you want to show that you're macho or tough, whatever. I think he has a good game. But I'll say Colts win this game. Let's go 28-17.
28-17. Okay. Yeah, I think Derek Carr will want to show that he's still got it, throw a lot of deep passes. Not all of those are going to connect with guys in the silver and black.
It's kind of been a problem.
Yeah, it's kind of been a problem, but I think he's going to want to air things out to kind of prove himself and then maybe make some mistakes along the way. I also take the Colts in this one. I think they're going to win 24-10.
Wow. So
yeah.
Airing it out when it got you 10 points.
Yes. You know why? Because it still isn't working.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
I expect at least one defensive touchdown from the Colts.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Oh,
Pick 6.
Absolutely. Well, make sure that you are following our coverage all week on ReviewJournal.com, all of Gilbert's stuff, all of Michael Gelkin's stuff, leading up to this Raiders game and continuing this trade madness that we've been talking about. We'll be making sure to follow it as well. For Gilbert and Manzano, I'm Elaine Emerson. Thank you so much for joining us on Raider Nation Mailbag.